The other thing Starmer said that was notable is that you are the enemy. So I thought maybe we'd watch that.
That is pretty serious stuff.
Very similar sort of vein of having a pop at a massive amount of the country. Let's see if we can find it. Here we go. So here goes Starmer with his little speech. Hopefully it's loud enough.
If you say or imply that people cannot be English or British because of the colour of their skin, that mixed heritage families owe you an explanation, that people who've lived here for generations, raised their children here, built their lives here, working in our schools, our hospitals, running businesses, are our neighbours. If you say they should now be deported, then mark my words, we will fight you with everything we have, because you are the enemy of national renewal.
You are the enemy of national renewal. It sounded a bit fascistic there. We've just invented national renewal, and you're the enemy of it. Nobody knows what it means, but you're the enemy of it. I invented it this morning in a focus group that we did in the pub, and you are the enemy. What are you talking about, Starmer? By the way, anyone who says those people should be deported, I guess I'm the enemy then. Because when he says that mixed-race couples, anyone who thinks they owe you an explanation, I just go around asking, well, not mixed-race couples, mixed-race heritage, whatever he said.
Mixed heritage.
Yeah. I just go around.
Could mean anything. That could mean someone from the north marrying someone from the south.
I go around demanding an explanation from those people.
Yeah, just wandering around London. You look. Is that a tan? No. Okay, let's talk.
It's a weird tactic to make. One, you straw man the opposition, then you, of course, demonize them, as you said, and then you declare them the enemy. And this is the only way his politics can work. But it's funny that he talks about divisive all the time, because it's obviously the most divisive possible strategy. But it just doesn't really stack up, because they're not the enemy. It's much more persuasive to say what you can offer people. He's in full opposition mode. He's in full demonizing mode. But who's this going to appeal to? Because loads of normal people are at the Tommy March. Loads of normal people are saying they're polling they're going to vote reform, and there's probably way more that aren't admitting it. Who's the voter that it appeals to say Farage is the enemy? Isn't it just preaching to the choir?
Yeah, I mean, first things first. Because he wasn't specific about what type of enemy. He wasn't saying he was a political enemy. He wasn't saying he was a philosophical enemy. He was saying he was the actual enemy. So therefore, he's taken something.
That's not just Farage now. That's anyone who believes any of the vague straw man.
So what he did, and people haven't really focused on this because there was so much crap said that we haven't got down to this as a serious discussion. He said. He's wrapped it all up. First of all, he's created this straw man, as you said. So he's essentially said anyone who's against immigration, it is based upon the colour of their skin. Again, injecting that into the conjecture. That is not what people are saying. That's what you want them to say so that you can say that, because that's how you can attack them. So first of all, he's injected the racism to spice it up. There wasn't any there. We need some racism. And then he said, all of the people that support this, therefore, by proxy, are now racist because they only don't like it because of the colour of their skin or any mixed heritage, which basically chucks everybody in who is not white, by the way. So he's saying anybody who is white, who thinks that is a problem, you are our enemy. And it's like, okay, so 80% of the country are white. Of those... And by the way, he's assuming that no one at the Tommy March, let's call it that, just for the purpose of this discussion, that he's assuming they were all white. That's demonstrably not true, too. So we have to ignore that for a second. But then he's saying that of the white population, if you have any issue at all with immigration, it's because you're racist, because you don't like the color of their skin, which assumes everybody that's coming across fits the right description in some way. Large swathes of that 80%, so therefore 50 million. So in the order of 30 to 40 million people in this country are the enemy. What does he hope to achieve by this? He's got everyone in that hall stood up cheering. No, they don't know what they're cheering for. It was Pavlovian. They were just... His emotion of his speech didn't represent what was going on in the hall. He was entirely disconnected because he's trying to read the speech because he didn't write the bloody thing for a start. It's all teleprompter. It's so contrived, it's unreal. And he's just created this kind of snot bubble of hate.
Yeah, he's a weird one, Starmer. He always, this whole idea of him being sensible, it's never really been the case. He's very spiteful, maybe not as a person, but certainly as in his rhetoric. And then he wheels back on it. Normally, it's all been a complete mess. It's no surprise he got the worst approval rating. You probably saw he has the worst approval rating of any prime minister ever. And we haven't even got on to digital ID, which of course he announced as well, bizarrely. But I thought this was really interesting. Shabana Mahmood came out with this speech that is controversial because she has essentially claimed that she can be English, and we've seen all this stuff before with Rishi Sunak. There's this very strange claim now that everyone can be English, not just British, and it's quite a provocative claim when you really get down to it. Because, well, let's just watch it and then see what you think.
Patriotism, a force for good, is turning into something smaller, something more like ethno-nationalism, which struggles to accept that someone who looks like me and has a faith like mine can truly be English or British. There are some who we will never be able to persuade. But there are others, a growing number, who are on a path from patriotism towards ethno-nationalism. And this can be stopped. But to do so, we have to understand why so many people feel this country is not working for them. Because the truth is, across this country, people feel like things are spinning out of control. And without control, we simply do not have the conditions in which our country can be open, tolerant, and generous.
Well, that part's fair enough. It's out of control. The immigration's out of control, as she well knows. Few problems though. One is that she failed her 11 plus and is a bit thick. That's a side issue. I was stunned to find that Keir Starmer got BBC at A level. It's a slight digression, but he went to a really good school.
He went to Leeds University as well, didn't he?
People like Andrew Sullivan went to his school. It was one of these good schools that was sort of grammars and then changed slightly. But I went to a terrible comprehensive. Still got A's, third highest grade in the country on my history A level syllabus. Never talk about it. Why can I get these incredible grades and Starmer gets BBC? You suddenly realize, oh, they're thick. And then Shabana Mahmood didn't pass for 11 plus. Sorry to sound snobbish, but I came from a rubbish comprehensive and literally turns out I'm smarter than them. Anyway, not that it's all about A levels, but I just am anyway. Anyway, Shabana Mahmood, though, saying that some people will say she can't be English or British. And she sort of pivoted quickly to British, which is a very different thing. And it's harder to make the claim that she's not British because it's partly a project Britain. You could say it's a mixture of certain specific ethnic groups, or you could say it's the imperial project of Britain. So it's a more complicated argument. English, though, of course she's not English. This is just ridiculous. There was an interview with Simon Heffer recently with Stephen Edgington where he was asking about this. He wasn't referencing Mahmood, it was someone else, and I can't remember who it was now. And Heffer was like, "Oh, of course he can be British, blah blah." And he's like, "But is he English?" Like, "Oh no, he's not English." Because English is a specific people and ethnicity. It's just absurd. And you've only got to ask the question, am I Pakistani? Can I be Pakistani? That's her heritage. Can I go over there? No one thinks I can be Pakistani. They just don't. It's nonsense. It's only because it's never that way around. You don't really get people from England going to settle in Pakistan very much. So it's like, it's just obviously absurd and I obviously can't be. And so it's the same the other way around. And I actually had a comment on it myself on Twitter, which maybe I'll read. I just said, this is the next big lie after claiming men can be women and vice versa. If she's just as English as I am, then the word has no meaning. She will also not give up her Pakistani identity. She essentially gets two identities while you get zero. And that's the part a lot of people have resonated with. Genocide was the messy, no, I forgot I said this, was the messy 20th century method. Now you can just claim an entire people doesn't exist in their own country and use the power of the state to enforce the lie. 6.1 thousand likes. People related to the two identities, because she'll say, oh, I'm sure she'll end up saying, I'm proud of being my Pakistani heritage and so on. She'll keep that. That's not going anywhere. But then she'll say, but I'm also English. But then if you are, what am I then? Because if you say I am, so is she, then the whole thing becomes meaningless. So I've lost my only one. She's kind of grabbed that one and she's kept her own. So it's 2-0 in identity wars. I just won't have it. I just won't have it anymore. Whether it doesn't mean that it's my whole life obsession, but I won't have the lies. Just like we can't pretend women don't exist. We can't pretend the English don't exist. Sorry, we exist and we're here. Carry on, Paul.
Yeah, well, it's probably because at some point, in this word war like racism, we've broken that down now, and it means less. At some point, someone took the word uh, discriminate and made it negative. The whole point of the word discriminate is so you can differentiate, right? You can discriminate between two groups of people, between two objects. You can discriminate between them, and you do so for very good reasons. To identify and hold up what that identity is. That doesn't. It is. It is okay to be exclusive in some way. And that's another word that's been taken away, because that would then mean in some way superior. No one's saying that. I mean, I am obviously on the back with the Austrian painter. I'm saying it, but not everybody is saying that. The point is,
No one's going to get that if they've just not watched the previous episode.
no, you will. Yeah,
Paul's referencing a tattoo that he's got of an obscure Austrian painter that we can't discuss on YouTube.
89 to 45 RIP. Long story, but I'm proud of it still. But jokes, absolute jokes. I wish they'd let him.
Even I don't know his birthday. I mean, that was just like straight on.
Yeah, big sad time for me. But so we are able to discriminate for very good reason. You discriminate between fish and rabbits. It's okay. You can only be English. There is the sort of bar for entry for being English is relatively high, because you'd had to have, there's certain criteria you must have met. You must meet. Sorry. However, to be British, like you say, that's kind of a constructed thing, a project that's probably been around since mid 20th century, maybe. Up until that point, very much people would talk to, if you're abroad, or you would describe yourself as English and Scottish and Welsh and Irish, it wouldn't be a problem. It's okay. You can discriminate. These things do sit on their own. So first of all, she builds this sort of straw person, where she says, anyone can be English, and then sort of pivots over and says anyone can be British. We don't really know what she means. Those two things are very different. And then she quite remarkably says, or makes out, that patriotism is a gateway drug to ethno-nationalism. So if you're in any way patriotic, like everybody at the Labour conference yesterday waving a flag, by the way, she's forget that everybody in the room is, she's already set up. She's basically saying they have to do this, and it drives me mad. The thing you see in front of you, what is happening, there is a right and there is a wrong way of doing it. They are doing it the wrong way. We have reclaimed it, and we're doing it the right way. So divisive, so incredibly sinisterly divisive. It's malicious. It's only done to divide. It's only done to make sure that you know what the good group is, and they know what the bad group is. And I mean, you can't win anything on that. You just cannot win anything on that footing. And I think that's why what we're seeing with reform is just people having enough. And while you see it's across the demographic, up and down the social scale, across the color palette as well, it's starting to appeal to many.